Welcome, everyone. My name is Rachel. Thank you for joining me today in this workshop. It is called Drop the Relationship Rulebook. Now, this goes along with my 3-step guide to creating peace with your mother. Some of you are not here because of your mother. Some of you are here because maybe it's a mother-in-law or a significant other or an ex-significant other. You're going to learn why we have created these rules around our relationships and why the rule books don't work. Just some thoughtful insight, journaling questions to help you find peace with that challenging person in your life. And I know for a lot of you here, it is your mom. So my guess is that you have grown up in a house full of guidelines, rules, and some of them worked out great. You've probably lived your life according to this imaginary rule book. Now, what is this rule book? So these are these unwritten rules that have been handed down from our mothers, probably our first caregivers, and maybe those rules were handed down from their mothers and then their mothers. My grandmother had 2 sisters, and she was the only one that had a job and who drove a car. So think about the rules 2 or 3 generations ago versus some of the rules that we still try to adhere to. Those rules have changed. So I'm here to really give you permission to drop the rule book that you have for your mother, and then you can drop that rule book that she probably has for you, okay? Because that's where it gets a little bit complicated. You may have tried to follow the rules that were handed down to you. Think about these unspoken rules. And so what typically happens as we get a little older, we don't even tell her that we've created a new set of rules that we think that she should follow, okay? Maybe it's that she should, I don't know, take better care of herself. Like, Mom, I for years, I was like, Mom, why aren't y'all exercising? Haven't you read all the studies? And she's like, I don't really care. So the rules that I have for her, or maybe the rules that she has for me, her immaculate clean house, that is never going to happen here because I don't want to lose my mind over it. She has her own set of rules, and the rules do not line up between the two of us. Her house, it's beautiful. Everything is in its place. Listen, I have 2 dogs and I love them, and they hang out on the couch with me. So we have a different life, but it doesn't mean that she's wrong and I'm right, okay? Or that I'm wrong and she's right. It's just that we have a different way of doing life right now. Now, one of the questions that I ask some of my clients is, what's the biggest challenge that you have? Doesn't she know that if she followed your guidelines, that she could have a happy and healthy life and you wouldn't have to hear her complain? That was my deal. She's not interested. Yeah, she's got her own life. And you might be, as I did for a long time, you might be asking yourself, like, why doesn't she cooperate? Well, I will tell you that a lot of times we don't say anything. Now, that might not be the case for you, but a lot of times we don't even tell them the thing that's bothering us because we're like, oh, she would get mad and then it would just blow up. Well, maybe, but I mean, maybe that's half the time. I don't know, 50-50. Maybe the other half of the time is like, oh, maybe she didn't even know she was doing that. I know that sometimes, like when I'm getting on my family's nerves, I'm like, what happened? They're like, oh, you said this and it really made me mad. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, oh, sorry. I didn't know that bothered you, but I do now. So it's interesting how we do have this set of rules for people, not that they're going to follow them, but sometimes it can be helpful to just like mention it in a neutral way. Okay. So yeah, so my guess is you might not have shared what is concerning you. That might be the first and the easiest step for you. If you've got a journal, go ahead and get your journal out. If you just got a piece of paper or just want to take some mental notes, this is really good to write down And I noticed that when I am really resisting writing something down, I use my iPad a lot because I have a bazillion notebooks and I can never find the right one. I've got some questions. There are 6 or 7 questions, and these are all about relationship rule books that she might have for you and you might have for her. Now, I want you to think about this person that you are challenged by. It might be someone that's really close to you in life, and you're just spending a ton of time together. And so, remember COVID? Remember when we are all like hanging out with each other for months and months and months, and we all kind of like watch some relationships crumble? Yeah. Okay. So the person that might be very challenging for you right now, we're just going to do one person, okay? Because I know there might be a coworker, there might be someone else. You're like, that reminds me of this other person that does this. No, no, no. Let's just pick one person, the person that maybe you've had the biggest challenge with recently. All right, maybe this most recent thing is probably on the top of your mind. So think about this person, and I want you to write their name. Maybe it's mom. Maybe it's stepmom. Maybe it's mother-in-law. Maybe it's a coworker who you're just like over it with them. Okay. I want you to write about this person. Think about them deeply. Okay. This is where you can judge. Just get your judgments out. You're like, and another thing, I know there's a lot of resistance. There's a ton of resistance. And I know why, because it's going to reveal your thoughts. I know. I went for a whole month and a half without putting pen to paper. And I was like, what is going on? But once I did it, and I just couldn't stop. Okay. So write in detail about this person. If you're like, well, I don't know what to say, I've got something for you. What would you like them to stop doing? That's pretty. You're like, oh, well, if they would just stop. Okay, here's some things that came up for some of my clients. If she has to stop commenting on my weight, or how clean my house is, or my size, or the types of clothes I wear, my choice in partners, the amount of animals I have or don't have. What do you want her to stop doing? Stop commenting on, I'll give you my example, and it's from many years ago, but it's an oldie but a goodie. My parents came over, they were coming over, and y'all know how it is. Your parents are coming over, you're in clean mode. My baseboards were slick, y'all. They looked great. Vacuumed, changed the sheets. Not that anybody was going to like look and see how clean my sheets were, but I like to do my sheets every week. I cleaned the heck out of this place. However, I had turned my ceiling fans off. And I mentioned as soon as they came over, I'm like, sorry, I'm almost ready. I've been spending all morning cleaning. And my mother, in her lovely way that she likes to say things, she said, oh, I guess you couldn't reach your ceiling fans. And I look up and there's, that dust when the ceiling fans are going for a few months. And then you're like, you stop it for some reason. I was so mad. I was embarrassed. I was mad. And I was just like, she doesn't need to comment on how clean my house is or how not clean my house is. And I was fuming for months. I mean, I'm still talking about it, right? I mean, it's kind of funny now because I'm like watching my own mind go crazy about it. So maybe it's the ceiling fan for you. Maybe they should stop calling you at all hours of the day. That's a really common one. Or they're having a bad day and they just decide to call you and dump all their problems on you. And you're like, wow, that was terrible. Okay, so what should they stop doing? Okay, I just gave you some ideas. And then what would you like them or her to start doing? I had a big hang up. I'm like, they should take better care of themselves. I mean, they're not getting any younger. She has no interest in taking care of herself. Not like taking care of herself, but like she should work out and they should go to the gym. I'm like, they've never gone to the gym. What am I even thinking? What should they start doing? Write down 3, because 3 is going to like the floodgates are going to open and you're going to be off to the races on that one. So write, you can come back and listen to or watch this later. Feel free to get that journal out and just start making lists. So this is getting it out of your head and onto paper, or not paper, fake paper. Now, for each item that you said, maybe it's your ceiling fan, maybe it's she doesn't like how you parent, ask yourself, write down why you want her to start or stop. Why do you want her to behave this way or stop behaving this way? That's the next one. Okay. And a lot of times what I see is so that we can feel better. If she would just stop or never comment about my, I don't know, appearance, I wouldn't be so self-conscious. And I would say, well, she's not in your head. Now you might think she's in your head, but she's not in your head. You're responsible for those self-conscious thoughts. Now, maybe you picked up and borrowed those thoughts from her, but you can also put those down. This is a fun one. Question number 3, how do you think you would feel if she did all the things? You give her the list. You're like, hey, mom, or whoever, just do all these things and stop doing these things. How would you feel? When I did this exercise on myself, I'm like, first of all, I would be really suspicious. I'm like, what's coming? I wouldn't believe it. I would make it mean, I would create a whole different story over the fact that this person did everything on the list. Okay. Think about where your mind goes when you're asking yourself these questions. It's so fascinating. And again, it might not be your mom. I have a lot of you know who you are. It's mother-in-law problems. Luckily, I don't have that, but a lot of you are struggling with mother-in-law problems. They don't like the way that you keep your house, and they're going to let you know. Okay. So yeah, fill up the page on all the whys and how you would feel if she behaved if you just gave her the rules. Here's the rule book, mother. Read it, please. Sign at the bottom. It's a contract, date it, and then start doing all the things. Okay. First of all, hilarious. And I was thinking about this because I'm like, yeah, if they would change, if this person would change, I'd feel great. I'm like, well, hang on a second. How hard is it to change myself when the workout schedule is on the schedule? And I'm like, oh, I don't know what happened. I didn't have time to do that. Okay. So think about how hard it is to change yourself and think about what it's like to try to expect someone else to change. Okay. Question number 4, how would your thoughts change about her if she behaved this way, if she did everything? So at first we said, how would you feel? You probably like suspicious, maybe. I might feel really good. I'm like, I win. Maybe it's like an upper hand feeling. Like I'm in charge now. She did all the things. Or maybe I was like, at one point, I was like, it's because I know that they're in their 70s. And I was afraid that if they didn't take care of themselves, I was going to have to be sad really soon. Like something's going to happen to them. But that was still making it about me. I would be sad if something happened, right? How would my thoughts change about her if she did all these things? I'm telling you, it's going to change it so much. You're going to start, I laugh because I'm like, I'm onto my whole like thinking process. Okay. Number 5 is do you want her to behave this way, even if she's not interested? Okay. That was a big one. I'm like, maybe she doesn't want to. Maybe she just notices her messy house. Her house isn't messy, but maybe she notices little things in her house. And so that's just like where her brain goes. I don't know. But guess what? People are allowed to have thoughts. Like if mom would just go for a walk around the block every day, I would feel better. She doesn't want to. She does not. I promise you, she's not interested. And that woman already told me, I'm not doing it. Number 6, what do you make it mean when she doesn't do the thing that you want her to do or to stop doing the thing. What are you making it mean when she comments on, I don't know, partner or your size or how clean or not clean your house is? What do you make it mean? I think about you're internalizing it. I was like, I'm a terrible person. Why can't I get it together? We have this internal dialogue, and it is probably borrowed from somebody else. Now, what I will say, I do notice that when someone's mom is no longer here on this planet, sometimes some of my clients have changed their focus on this other person. So there's this people pleasing and approval seeking and the I'm not good enough. So sometimes when mom's not here anymore, they still have that internal dialogue, but maybe it's their sister now, their big sister, or maybe it's like an aunt. Maybe it's someone else in their life that, so see the pattern. So I want you to start thinking about the patterns in your own life. I'm telling you, when I started to do this work and quit blaming and pointing the finger, I'm like, I'm actually able to live my life. And I do still get upset sometimes, but I'm also like, it is really my way. I'm a grown up. I can do whatever I want. I can think whatever I want. I do not have to make it mean anything. So what are you making it mean when she doesn't do the thing that you want her to do? The last one, y'all, in this relationship rule book, when she or the person wants you to behave a certain way so that they can feel better, what is it like for you when someone is like, if you could just change so we could all like be a normal family? I'm a little bit of an outsider in my family, and I used to make it mean like I'm a bad person. I'm like, no, this is just, I think every family might have one. And now I'm, instead of like being ashamed of it, I'm like, this is me. It feels really good. So this is an encouragement for you to live your life on your terms and start, if you're having struggles in your relationship with your mom, your stepmom, whoever, a lot of times it's mom, let me know. We can chat. So while rule books may seem like an easy solution for mothers and daughters, a lot of times they do more harm than good. There's a lot of misunderstandings. So I'm just going to say, let's break some rules out there, have a conversation, start journaling. I'm telling you, it's going to change so much for you so that you can create a relationship for yourself that works for you. You can download the 3-step guide to creating peace with your mother. I have a free meditation. It's called the Healing Thread Meditation. It's beautiful. I will see you next time. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Bye.